Hi, Statesmen Nation. We're sitting down with Kirsten Foster as we preview the 2025-2026 men's bowling season. Coach Foster in her first year leading the men. We'll talk about the women as well later. But so, Coach, let's talk about this transition. And we've talked off camera here, but switching over to the men's side, sure it was different.
Yeah, definitely a little bit different. Obviously, men, women, they all act differently. And so trying to learn those mannerisms, the different jargon that they use, how they want to be coached, very different than the girls. So just kind of getting through the speed bumps now, so that way when we actually get into competition, it's smooth sailing.
Okay. All right, let's talk about, I guess, kind of day one in the transition up to now, just how, I guess, that's been going in regards to, and especially in the practice, how you guys have worked together and all that.
Yeah, so there's been a lot of changes since day one. Yeah. Day one, how we tried to do it, because, after the end of last season and we knew the change was happening, we met with the team and we're like, how do you guys want this moving forward, right? And so we took some of their advice, tried to implement it. As much as I would love to say the first try was the right try, it was not. And so we learned that it was really easy for me to get focused just on one team. So then the other team's obviously not getting my attention. And so trying to learn a really good balancing act. And so it's taken a lot of communication from the players, understanding like if I'm missing the mark, what do I need to change? I need to be receptive to their communication and honestly their critiques, their criticism. And so we've been working a lot. So we bowl 3 days a week as a team and I try to be with both teams every day. And that was becoming, it just wasn't it. I couldn't give my attention fairly amongst both teams. So now we've changed it to where we have one team where we have one practice where both teams are working on the same thing. So then I just kind of bounce from person to person who needs help. And then the next day I'll be working with just the girls and the next day just the guys. And so far that's worked out pretty well. We brought on a couple of volunteer coaches. So we have one that strictly only works with the girls. And so those days that I'm with the guys, he's in charge of the practice. So if he wants them doing something differently, he's there doing something differently with them. And he's new to coaching girls, so it's a good lesson for him to learn the girls. Girls get to know him, kind of establishing that comfortability. And then same thing on the guy side. We have a volunteer coach that's strictly working with the guys. So when I'm with the girls, he is giving his attention to the guys and working with them and getting to know them. So, and both of them are past players, so some current players on the team know them already, and so it's just trying to understand the new games. But I think we've found a nice balance.
Sure. Well, fortunately, it's still early. There's plenty of time to fix it. All right, let's break down the roster. Let's talk about the returners first, and then you can talk about the new faces we have.
Yeah. So are we like specific names? Or
top people. We don't talk about everybody, but yeah.
Okay.
Talk about
I think probably the first one, Aiden Piet. He's coming back. So he ended last season off of top 10 finish at the Hoosier, which is huge. Biggest regular season tournament. Player of the year for conference. Was in contention for All-American. So we were really grateful to have him come back, and so working with him a lot because he was one that wanted some changes to be made, and so been working diligently with him on what those changes look like, and kind of working through that process. I've asked him to make some changes because I would like him to be a little bit more vocal. It's a little bit more just on the quieter side, but I feel like he's done really good with that so far.
He's an upperclassman too at this point now, so yeah.
Yeah, so he's done really well with that. Other all-conference player returning, Noah Kidwell. And same thing, and he was one I actually asked him to take almost a step back because he is very vocal. And I'm like, okay, well, there's other voices that need to be heard too. And so he's done a really good job with that. He's also trying to fill almost like a leadership role, but trying to find that balance of what that looks like. And then we've got, some of our seniors, Carter Boley coming back. He was varsity last year. Ethan Zaglavsky's made a couple appearances on varsity, and so I think he's starting off this year on varsity. So we'll see how that goes, see how that balances out. Other returners, Ethan Litt had made a couple appearances last year. He did really well during our trials. Him and Noah actually tied for first after qualifying was done. So really excited to get him in there, and he's going to kind of change things up a little bit because he's more of a field player than a technical player. So those conversations look different than what it does like with some of the other players. So.
Okay. Let's talk about the newcomers. I know you're kind of late in the ball game to start recruiting per se, but obviously building off of what Cameron did and everything.
Yeah, so all the recruits that are coming in are ones that Cameron recruited. But when the announcement was made, we set up individual meetings with all of them to talk to them, make sure they were okay with the move and whatnot. So Gavin Unger, he's a two-handed lefty from Nebraska, and so we're hoping he'll help complement Brock Alderson, another returner I forgot to mention, but Brock, one-handed lefty. So hopefully they'll help complement each other a little bit, and they can read off each other because, one, you don't get too many lefties to begin with, and so when you only have one, like their moves and everything is just a little bit different. So hopefully they can feed off each other and work a little bit more. Gavin Broussard, he was one. We've known him for a couple years now. He's been attending our camp, and so I was really excited to see that he wanted to come here. A little bit more up the boards kind of player, but really impressed us during trials. He squeaked into our match play setting and then almost ran the field. So made it all the way to the championship match and then ended up losing to Gavin Unger. And so, funny tidbit, they're both roommates. Two Gavins, two roommates. I was just like, okay. There's got to be some separation there. Right. We call them both by their last name. Okay. So, but he did really well, and so he's actually going to be varsity first tournament out the gate, so we'll see how that goes. Lucas Newman, one we got as a transfer. He was part of William Woods, and then unfortunately their program folded. So he transferred to us, and so learning to work with him, and hopefully he finds that this is a good home for him. And then we got several other recruits that I'm sure will all make their appearances here and there.
Sure. Okay. Let's break down the schedule. Pretty similar to what you've had in the past, but let's talk about a couple of tournaments that you're really excited about. Beginning with this weekend, you guys are starting it out, so let's just break down the key ones.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously we're excited for this one. Get the season started. This is the latest we've ever started for tournaments, and so they're itching. They want to go. They want to compete. They want to see where we stack. And this is a really good tournament because it's hosted by Mount Mercy, and all of our conference teams are planning on being there. So not only is our first, but now we get to see how we stack up against everyone else, and some of those teams already have multiple tournaments under their belt as well. So it will be fun. I'm excited to see how it all works, how the dynamics are, because that's the other part. Once you get into a tournament, your dynamics change, right? We can sit here and work together all we want during practice, but then once you add that competitive atmosphere to the mix, it does change some things. And so it's, as much as I would love to say I can expect or anticipate what the changes are, that would be a lie. So I'm excited to see what the changes are, and I'm hoping they're good changes, especially because we go back-to-back tournaments. So I'm really excited for this one. NAI invite's always a good one. We see how we stack up against other NAI teams. Thankfully, it's in our region this year, so it's a really short drive. And it's in a house that our teams are usually pretty good in. They like that center. So really excited for that. Vegas, always a good one for, as a coach, I have my own reasons for liking Vegas, and then they have theirs that we just won't talk about. Right. So, but they love it. It's kind of like our destination tournament. So love it. It's a tiring experience, but it's fun. And then Hoosier's always a good one too, because then we see how we stack up against all of college bowling. So.
Yeah, before going into the postseason. So, all right, you talked about conference opportunity that you'll see a bunch of the teams this weekend already. Just talk about where the conference kind of stacks up. It had been for a while there. Us, Grandview, Culver's been in there. Peru's had a shot. I think they just won it this past. No, Culver, sorry, we just won it this past year. Just Baker's in there, so it's kind of just anybody's ball game. It seems like. But where do you think it's going to kind of roll out this year, and then where are the Statesmen going to fall in?
Yeah, so I think this year our conference changes a little bit. NEI made some legislative rules changes over the summer, and so Mount Mercy men are added to the mix. And so, they're, I'm not going to sugarcoat, they're a powerhouse. They've always performed really well. They've got members on their team from Junior Team USA, so, they're definitely someone we need to consider and be weary of. But I think, as of right now, I think the men's team, they've always had the talent. They've had the knowledge. It's just trying to get them to all click the right way. And so we've been doing a lot of work on our team culture. And so I think we're going in the right direction. A tournament will let us know for sure. But But I think we're in the mix, right? And then when you get to the match play portions, anybody's game, and so who can execute the shots when it needs to be. But, so Mount Mercy's going to be a threat. Baker's done some really good recruiting in the off season, and so I think they're actually currently ranked number 1 for NAIA.
Yeah, I saw that.
With only a couple
but
tournaments.
But it's 2 tournaments in. How many people are actually competing in October? So yeah.
Right. So, but I think it's something still
But
to
still,
consider.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So we're gonna have to keep an eye out for them. Grandview always seems to pull something out.
Bit of a thorn in our side.
Yeah.
In past tournaments, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm kind of hoping we can break that trend because I'm over that trend personally.
Yeah.
But Culver Stockton returning quite a few of their players from last year, so they're going to be someone's to consider as well. And Peru State. Honestly, I feel like on the men's side, it's really just who shows up that day, who executes the shots when they need to be, and I really feel like if we get our communication going, we can be there again. So.
For sure. Okay, let's put a bow on it. What is it going to take for the team to reach the goals that you guys are setting?
They need to be a team. They need to be there supporting each other no matter who's in. Even if for some reason, if they didn't even get selected for varsity, right? They need to support one each other. They need to trust each other and know that even if their experiences are different from one another, they still gain knowledge from those experiences, and just really keeping those communication lines and being there for one another, because I think that's the piece that's been missing.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, once again, Kirsten Foster, the head men's bowling coach here at William Penn. Team begins this weekend and a whole bunch of tournaments over the next several months. It's a crazy long season you guys have, but you did shorten up a little bit this year with a later start. So, everything for the men's bowling team on statesmanathletics.com, all of our social media channels, WPU Athletics. So thanks, Coach. Best of luck this season.
Thank you.